Hi students, this is Priya. Welcome to ElectroPro e-content. In this session, we are going to learn about the introduction to Raspberry Pi and its GPIO pins. So these are the contents which we are going to discuss in today's session. What is Raspberry Pi? Raspberry Pi is a credit card sized small single board computer. By connecting peripherals like keyboard, mouse, display, etc., it will act as a mini personal computer. It is popularly used for real time image and video processing, IoT based applications, and robotic applications. It is inexpensive and its capability are it is capable for programming doing electronic projects, and it is used in office, and it is used to play HD videos. And coming to its history, Raspberry Pi is the work of the Raspberry Pi Foundation, a charitable organization supported by the University of Cambridge Computer Laboratory and tech firm Broadband. And these are the features of the Raspberry Pi. It is an ultra low cost, and it is completely easy to program the computer, and it's a credit card sized fanless instant startup, and moreover it's a low power consumption. And these are the different models which are available in our market. Based on the specifications and the pins which we want to use, we can select those models. The available models are Model A, Model A plus, Model B, Model B plus, and here's the computer model, and this is the 2 Model B, this is a 0 and 3, then this is the 3 Model B. Next, coming to the programming languages. Raspberry Pi can support any programming languages, but by default, we can installed by default on the Raspberry Pi programming languages are C, C++, Java, Scratch, Ruby. And moreover, we can easily program Raspberry Pi in Python. Any language which will compile for ARM basics can be used in Raspberry Pi. And the many the as we know that Raspberry Pi is acts as a mini computer without OS. So first of all, we need to install the operating system, and in order to program that, we'll take an SD card and we'll install our required OS. So let us take an example as Linux. First, we need to install the Linux in the SD card, and that installed SD card should be inserted to the Raspberry Pi, and then it will work in the Linux operating system. So this is the picture of the desktop side of the Linux operating system, which was installed in the Raspberry Pi. And moreover, based on our interest and the capabilities, so whichever operating system we are perfect or interested, that corresponding operating systems can be installed. And this is the Raspberry Pi's primary edition, which is seen in this picture. And now we're going to see the setup of the Raspberry Pi. So this is the overall view of the Raspberry Pi setup, and now we will detail we'll going to learn about each one. So this is the power. This is a micro USB power. The power to the Raspberry Pi can be provided using either a micro USB lead to the micro USB connector, or the 5 volt can be directly fed into the 5 volts GPIO pins, that is general purpose input output pins. And this is similar to the one on a lot of the mobile phones. And next is the HDMI audio and video. HDMI, these slots are used to connect the Raspberry Pi to an HDMI screen, used for connecting to a monitor or TV. HDMI can carry both sound and the picture as well, and it mostly works with the modern TVs and DVI's monitor. And next coming port is RCA video port. This port is mainly works with most older TVs, which works with the most older TVs, and we can connect this using the 3.5 jack connector. And this is the 3.5 audio connector. If you want to listen connector with the headset, by using this port we can connect to the headphone socket. And this is the USB ports. As this is the USB port, this is used to connect to the peripherals such as the keyboard, mouse, and webcams, etc. Which and we can use USB 2.1, USB 3.0 ports based on the Raspberry Pi models that are available, depending on models that we use. USB 2.0 provides a maximum transfer. This port provides a maximum transfer speed of a 480 Mbps, and whereas USB 3.0 port provides up to a 5 Gbps. And next, this is the Ethernet port. Ethernet is connected to the LAN for internet access. It is more secure. It is used to connect a laptop through RJ45 connector. But in Raspberry Pi 3 model, there is inbuilt Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module, and in that Wi-Fi module can be used for internet access. And then this is the general purpose input output pins. Based on using these pins only, we can do whatever projects we can do, and we can also give the power supply using this GPIO pins also by 3.3 volts connecting this. And next, coming to the system on chip port. System on chip is an IC which has many components on it, such as a CPU, memory, and RAM. It also has a graphical processing unit on it. It is ARM based by Broadcom Technologies. And this is a Broadcom technology IC number is BCM2835, and it's supports up to the frequency of 700 megahertz. And next, this is the LAN connector, which is used to access the internet. And this is the camera interface port. The camera interface port is a connector that allows the Raspberry Pi to connect to the camera module. And this is the display interface. The display interface port allows the Raspberry Pi to connect to a serial display similar to those used in the tablets. Such display modules are available with touch controls and in common sizes. These are available up to 7 inches. And next, coming to the storage micro SD card slot. This slot is used to house the micro SD cards that holds the Raspberry Pi operating system. It is a removable storage device which is required to run the operating system on the Raspberry Pi. As we all know that Raspberry Pi doesn't have any onboard memory and data storage functionality. This storage port is used to store all the files on its drive. And coming to the in general purpose input output ports, based upon the models which we use, the pins may vary. And so this is the Raspberry Pi 3 plus model. It has 40 pins. In that, 8 are ground pins, and there are two power pins, that is a 3.3 volts pins and 5 volts. These two are the 5 volts pins, and this here this is a 3 V3 power, and here this is a 3 V3 power. These are the two 3 point 3 volts pins. And the pin number 27 and 26 are the resort pins. These are usually used for the I2C communication protocols with an electrically erasable programming language. And most probably we can as we know that these GPIO pins can be set up in two modes, that is a board mode and the BCIM mode. Based on the usage or our convenience, we can use which mode as it. And next, this is GPIO pins are the digital pins, and they work at the 3.3 volts. If we send 5 volts supply to the 3.3 volts, then the Raspberry Pi might be blast or damaged. It causes severe distraction. And the maximum permitted current drawn through this 3.3 volts pin is 50 milliamps. So these are all about the so this is the basic overview of the pins, board mode, and the BCM mode. Diagram includes the BCM GPIO references and these common functions, and wiring pin pi, pin references, and pin numbers. So this is the USB 2 port, and this is a USB 3 point, as we have discussed before earlier. And based upon the usage, the GPIO 2 and GPIO 3 is used for I2C protocol, and this GPIO 10, 9, and 11, these corresponding are used for serial pair for interface, and GPIO 14 and 15 these pins are used for the UART communications. So based upon the usage, we can connect to the corresponding pins, and we can establish the communications using those protocols. So this is the example. Here we can connect an LED using a resistor between the GPIO 17 pin and the ground. So this is the breadboard, and this is the breadboard, and this is the Raspberry Pi. Here we are connecting the 17th pin to the positive terminal of the LED, and the positive terminal of the resistor, that is 270 ohms resistor, is connected to the positive terminal of the LED. And next, ground is connected to the negative terminal of the resistor, and the LED or negative terminal is also connected to the ground. And here the LED will initially be off because the GPIO pins are initialized as inputs at power on. So if we give power supply, then the LED will glow, and if we off the power supply, then the LED will off. So through this, in this manner, we can glow the LED. By using this GPI open, so we can do many projects as we are required. So that's all, students. This is today's session, and let's meet in tomorrow's session. Thank you.